The year 2020 brought with it more new stories and new developments than any other recent year in memory. As we move into the first full week of 2021, our Adam Duxter is looking ahead at stories that could be making the most waves this year.
Mr. President, will you take our questions?
3 days into the new year, and much of America's focus is on the next 17, watching for a peaceful transfer of power from President Trump to President-elect Joe Biden. Despite the Electoral College already casting its votes, a number of Republican senators say they're committed to disputing the results no matter what. Biden's inauguration is set for January 20th. The coronavirus dominated headlines and seemingly life itself for 3/4 of 2020 and hasn't gone away since the start of the new year. At its current pace, Wisconsin will likely reach 5,000 total deaths over the course of the next 2 weeks. In 2021, however, the focus will be on vaccines and their rollout. While Wisconsin's COVID numbers have slowly trended downward since mid-November, it'll likely take until the spring before most of us see the vaccine make an impact on our daily lives. But as that does happen, it will provide Wisconsin the opportunity to reopen. Governor Evers already urging schools to do so after winter break. While local health officials have softened their stance on reopening schools, MMSD hasn't made the call yet. District leaders plan to do so in the next 5 days. As for businesses, the damage caused by the virus and statewide shutdown is already clear.
It's been beyond challenging. It's just purely not sustainable.
With 31 State Street shops and restaurants closing their doors since the start of the pandemic, and others hoping GoFundMe campaigns and takeout orders can hold them over a few months longer. While the pandemic took lives in Madison last year, so did gun violence. Shots fired incidents doubled, and murders, including the murder of 11-year-old Anissa Scott, were tied for the most on record.
Defendant essentially driving around the city of Madison in a stolen car.
And this year, we'll follow the trials for the 3 young men who police say are responsible for Scott's death, as well as watch the changes within MPD as they place their hopes in a new leader, Dr. Sean Barnes, who will be tasked with handling not only the issue of increased gun violence, but also repairing police and public relations as a whole. And that's because we expect to see 2 significant legal rulings involving police in 2021. The city of Kenosha is already preparing for a decision in Officer Rustin Shesky's case as soon as mid-January and is preparing for protests to follow. On August 23rd, Shesky shot Jacob Blake multiple times at point-blank range. In March, a trial is scheduled to begin for 4 Minneapolis police officers, including Derek Chauvin, who killed George Floyd in May, sparking protests and reform throughout the country. And those calls for reform made it to the Wisconsin state capitol, but it's too early to say if the Joint Task Force on Race will produce systemic change. Reform has already led to some activists landing new jobs as state lawmakers, and now attention will shift to local elections this spring.
I felt really empowered by the social justice movement,
with more activists potentially joining Madison's council in just 93 days. Looking ahead to the next 362 days, Adam Duxter, News 3 Now.
And just like 2020, there will be stories and major events that we cannot predict. But as this year happens, we continue to bring you the latest on what is impacting your life each day.